Hello everybody and welcome back. This week we are going to do our shopping and do 5 budget family dinners together. My name is Amanda, and if you're new to this channel, I do a lot of budget meals, frugal living, and urban homesteading. If that's something that interests you, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and follow along. All right, let's get shopping. Okay, so here is everything that we got. Got sausages, bacon, pasta, some tomato sauce, carrots, a pepper, potatoes, a bag of onions, a bag of chopped spinach, and I got all of that for $24.46. Now, adding on to that is some chicken that I got the other day for $5.48. So I'm going to add this into the meal plan as well, bringing it up to just about $30 for the week. So I'm going to take half of this chicken and save half for another night and use half now. I'm going to take 2 of these and put it in a pot and make some chicken soup. I love grabbing these cheap chicken legs and making soup from them, as it is a very nutritious, filling, and budget-friendly meal to make. By boiling the meat in the water, I can make a nice meat stock with it, and then the chicken is cooked, so I can just take the chicken off the bone, but the flavor from the bone and the skin is in the water. So I just have that chicken simmering for about an hour to make sure that the meat stock is nice and flavorful. While that is cooking, I take 1 of our onions and 4 of our carrots and I dice them up nice and small for the soup. And then once the chicken is all done in the meat stock, I just take it out of the broth and let it cool down a bit so I can shred the chicken off the bone. And then I just add my onion and my carrot into the broth. And I turn the broth on medium so that the onions and the carrots can start to cook. Next, I go ahead and get 5 of our potatoes and dice them up and get them in with the broth as well. Potatoes are a cheap and filling option you can add to pretty much any dish. To season the soup, I add about a teaspoon of salt, and then I go in and I add about a half cup to a cup of our frozen spinach. I then go in and add about a teaspoon of thyme as well. So by now the chicken has cooled down and I'm able to take the skin off and shred the chicken off the bone so that I can add it to our soup. I leave the soup on medium until everything has cooked through thoroughly. This takes about a half an hour. The finished soup is so flavorful and so filling, absolutely delicious and great on a winter's night. All right, so for the next night, I'm getting together a sausage pasta. So I go ahead and get 1 of our onions and our pepper and I dice it up and get it into my frying pan so I can start to saute these. If you have a little bit of oil, you can add oil to this. If not, a little bit of water will keep it from sticking. So I take 2 of our sausages because I'm going to split up the package, and I just cut them down into about 1-inch pieces and I add them to the frying pan so that I can saute them all up and get them cooked. While those are cooking, I'm going to go ahead and get my pasta water on, and once it's boiling, I add about half of my bag of pasta. I let that cook for about 9 minutes, and then I drain the pasta and add it all back into my pot. And then I just scoop in my fillings, my sausage, onion, and pepper into my pasta. I make sure I get all the juices because that's where the flavor is. Then I take my jar of tomato sauce, I empty that in, I rinse it out with a little bit of water to make sure I get every last bit of tomato sauce, and then I dump that in as well. Give it a good stir. Now you can use whatever spices you like to flavor this. We just used a bit of salt, and then this was delicious. It's absolutely a kid favorite. The kids love this. They call it hot dog pasta, even though it's with sausages. All right, moving along to our next dinner, I am doing a chicken potato casserole bake in the slow cooker. These potatoes are a bit smaller, so I took 7 of the potatoes. Again, potatoes are a really budget-friendly filling food that also has a lot of nutrition in them. I add them to my slow cooker. I take an onion and I take about 5 or 6 carrots, dice them up, and get them into my slow cooker as well. To this, I add about a half a cup to a cup of the frozen spinach. And then on top, I just add my 2 chicken breasts. So I like the saying of using meat as a seasoning, not as a main dish. And I find that to be incredibly budget friendly when I do that. To this, I add about a quarter cup of water, a little bit of salt, then some garlic powder, some chili powder, and finally some cumin. This adds a bit of a taco flavoring to our bake. Then I just leave this on low for about 6 to 8 hours until everything is well cooked. That chicken will fall right off the bone. I decided to take it out of the slow cooker to shred the chicken because I didn't want to accidentally leave any bones in there with the rest of the ingredients. So I just took them off on a plate. I took the skin off as the flavoring from the skin that went into the meal nicely while it was slow cooking. And then I just shred the chicken from the bone so I can add it back into the slow cooker. When that's done, I just take the shredded chicken, add it back to the pot, give it a good stir, and serve it up. This was also a really tasty dish, really easy to put together. I love a slow cooker for that reason. However, I would probably add less water as it was still a bit watery in the bottom. So I think if you just grease the bottom of your slow cooker, it would be more of a bake. But this still turned out really delicious and definitely one I will be doing again. All right, so the next dish is very simple. I'm just putting together my version of a bangers and mash. So we're doing the rest of our potatoes. I think I had 5 potatoes here, and I'm just going to get them into a pot of water and boil them and mash them. You'll notice that I do leave my skins on my potatoes. That is a preference for some, whether they have them peeled or not. For me, there's a lot of nutrition in the peel and a lot of fiber, so I leave them on there. Then I boil up carrots as a side, and I get my sausages in the frying pan to cook. Once the potatoes have cooked until fork tender, I mash them up. If you have some milk and butter, you can put it in here. If you do not, then you can just use some of the potato water to keep the potatoes moist. I have cooked the carrots until tender, and the sausage, everybody got a half a sausage, and it was a delicious and easy meal. Lastly, I am taking the bacon we bought and I'm just cutting it into about inch size pieces. I am going to put together a bacon pasta dish with the rest of our pasta. So, like I said, I'm just going to cut up our bacon, separate it so it can all cook evenly, and get it in the frying pan to go. Next, I'm going to take one of our onions, dice it up, and get it into the frying pan with our bacon. It's so surprising to me that bacon is now more of a budget item for me where I can get it for $2 to $3 a package, where bacon used to be like a luxury or a frivolity that you could give up. But now it seems to be one of the protein sources that is actually affordable. As that's cooking, I boil some water and get the rest of our pasta in there to cook. And as the pasta is cooking, I go ahead and add in about half a cup to a cup of the frozen spinach. I was left with about a cup of the frozen spinach as leftover. To the bacon, I also add about a teaspoon of garlic powder as well as a teaspoon of basil. Once the pasta is all fully cooked, I drain it out, put it back into my pot, and add in the bacon, onion, spinach mixture. Then I just give it a good stir until everything is combined, and I can serve it up after that. Again, this is another kid hit. The kids love bacon, so anything with bacon is a win. So during this week, I did go through all of the ingredients I had, although I did have a couple of onions left and about a cup of frozen spinach, but everything else got used up, with the amount being about $6 per meal.
All right. Those were our budget meals for this week. If that is something you enjoy, I have an entire playlist all on budget meals that I am going to link here. Make sure you go there and catch up on all those videos. Please remember that if you're struggling at all, make sure you hit up your community resources like the food bank or your local churches. They oftentimes do a lot to help those in need. I hope you're all well, and I'll see you guys next time.